English for occupational purposes. So with regards to ESP,
lelaki ke dekat dalam grup apa tu? Apa ni?
Probably the admin would silent the purposes. So with regards to ESP,
lelaki ke dekat dalam grup apa tu?
Okay, where was I? Okay, so with regards to English for specific purpose, then I would share with you my experience with this subject, which is English for occupational purposes, which is especially for nursing students, for nursing students. And I have another experience with teaching nurses who are working. They are actually working already. They are working adults in our university. We have this university hospital, right? Okay, so based on my experience, when it comes to selecting the materials, what we do is that we always go back to the learning objective. What is it that they wish to achieve, and from there we actually trim the content of that subject matter, which is going to be the background, will be more of medical. So in terms of our expertise in that subject matter, of course we don't have it. We we just teach the general English, right? So what we do is that we select our materials. We have a few references from Oxford, so we usually take Oxford. Is it okay if I share some information? Am I able to share screen for this session, or is it just like am I able to do that?
I think you should be able to share screen. Maybe try to take a look at it.
Okay, let me just try. Bismillah. Okay. So are you? Is my screen on? Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. Bismillah. Okay, so this would be an example. We actually have to have this in order to guide us to actually know how is the environment like, what are the vocabulary or the situation that they have to deal with on a daily basis. We actually have to have this as our frame of reference. So for example, this is one of the books that we have selected. And by having these references, it actually gives us an idea of what will be the situation that they will be involved in. So this I would say as from our experience, our team, this is how we deal with selecting the materials. If you are asking about materials just now, right? Materials development. And then we would like to see from this massive materials that we have, so we have many, so we have to select what would be used in the situation that they are going to deal with when at the workplace. So for example, if you're talking about to infinitive, right? So they know the word sterilize, for example, but or they are familiar with certain verbs, but they do not know the grammar part, which is to infinitive, to plus the verb. So we can actually highlight that if that is the objective to improve their language ability. And as we know, as we are developing, we cannot be too overwhelmed with too much information. So we need to select. So in our team, we would actually discuss, our final selection, and we have the cooperation from the coordinator of the kuliah to actually ask them, are we on the right track? If we do some kind of role play of this sort, will it be relevant, So they are very supportive, and we will listen to their feedback. We will never try to go into the subject matter because we are not expert in that field. So we kind of still hold on to our main job, that is to improve their language proficiency. I don't know whether my question. Okay, let me just stop sharing. So this is one. This is just one example, one of the materials that we actually decide to choose. And then from there, we will always do follow through with all the teachers. Will this be relevant? Will we keep it, or we will use another one, And then we'll get the feedback also from the students, because the students will be using this language structure in their workplace, at their workplace. So we'll get feedback from them, and from there, we will further improve the materials that we have. Does that answer your question, Karen?
Yes, okay. Thank you, Madam. But you already mentioned about the textbooks already. So any materials from the internet that you use, and what is your selection criteria? Madam Hayati.
I think there is no harm in selecting materials from the internet if it's relevant, and if it's good. When you look at the learning objective, if it actually achieves the learning objective, then you can actually choose. You see, choosing materials, you as the teacher, you actually know whether this is interesting, whether it's authentic. The authenticity of the material is also very important. Yeah, so that's why we always ask the student after we finish one assignment or one practice with them, we always get feedback from the students. So how is it actually done, or in the real life situation? So I found that very interesting. Yeah, so that we are not like what we call short sendiri lah. We always get feedback from the students.
What about Madam Nobaiduri? Is there any internet materials that you use for UTM, Universities Teknologi Melaka?
Technical.
Technical, sorry.
Malaysia Melaka.
Yeah,
UTM is our big brother. Okay. In terms of textbooks, because the nature of the courses that we teach, we have technology, engineering, IT, and technopreneurship. So we do not actually buy a commercial textbook, because apparently there's no single textbook available in the market that can actually provide the content that can be used for all the courses. So what we did was we actually developed the module after we have completed the syllabus, the curriculum design, okay, which of course it went through the needs analysis process, and we continuously actually review our syllabus, where we invite some representatives from the faculty to have a look at the syllabus and share some of the materials that we have been using in classroom, whether, in terms of the style, in terms of the content, whether they actually fulfill the criteria of what's authentic used in the field. Because we're looking at two things. One thing is authentic materials used in the academic environment, and another one is, which is quite hard actually for us to get in terms of materials in the workplace later. But this is something that we keep on driving, because we always want to connect with people in the industry so that they can share, they can actually be part of our curriculum design team, where they can actually have a look. Because I think we have this issue of getting the industry to be involved with university. I think that is quite an issue quite recently, where university is trying to get people from the industry to contribute their insight with whatever the university people are planning for university students. And so we actually come up with our module module that we prepare based on samples of tasks recommended by faculty, lecturers, and some alumni actually. We keep on, we communicate with our alumni to ask them, is it relevant that we have what we have taught you in class for this particular subject? So they keep on giving us updates. Oh, this one we no longer use it this way. They will, share their practice at the workplace. For online material, definitely, because I think that's the place that I always visit online, because books can be quite expensive, good books, and not 100% of one book would be relevant. So internet is where I would normally go to lah. And but you have to know the keywords, and I always like to go to the accreditor badan akreditasi lah. For engineering we have this IEM. IEM stands for Institute of Engineering Malaysia. So that's where all the practitioners they gather there. They even have their own bulletin. So I always use this material because we have this subscription of the Jurutera bulletin. They actually compile engineering content cut across all fields of engineering. So whenever I want to use materials, like if I'm looking for text for engineering, I would go to the bulletin. So recently they come up with the e-bulletin. So now I go online. But before that, I wait for the bulletin lah, because they will mail out to my house. So that's for my case in UTM lah, for textbooks.
Okay. Since both of the panelists already mentioning about the lessons objective, so let's move on to the next questions. Okay, Madam Baiduri, what effect does virtual learning environment have on the teaching and learning of English for specific purposes in the classroom?
Okay, I would say that when the pandemic hit, I think everyone was forced to change their approaches in teaching, right? But there are some things that turn out to become privileges. Like we managed to invite a few people from the industry to share things like communication at workplace, where before this, of course, whenever you want to invite people from the outside, there's always issues of cost, time, for them to get to your place. But then with virtual learning, everything is online. You are able to get even people from overseas. That's quite good. And tools like, Kahoot, of course, before we went online, we have started to use it, but it became more relevant when we turned to 100% virtual learning. So I actually developed my own materials. I like to focus on certain tool that I think students are interested in. So whenever I use my Kahoot, of course, I need to make sure if I teach adverbs and adjectives, right? Because I teach product description for academic writing course. So I cannot be using sentences that is with the context of general English, because it wouldn't be interesting for the students. So I would actually, find some samples from innovation competition, where students actually share posters about their innovation projects. And I would like to share material a bit. This is something that I do as ESP practitioner. I like to go to innovation competitions to see if they write posters, right? If they make posters for their engineering innovation, how do they write how do they prepare the poster? Okay.
Okay, so same question goes to Madam Nohayati. So can you share with us in IIUM Kuantan about virtual learning environment have on teaching and learning English specific purposes? So how IIUM Kuantan apply this kind of method?
Okay,
Virtual
so okay, thank you, Brother Kyril. So ever since the MCO in 2020, yeah, at first I found it, I think most teachers also feel that it's quite difficult, to go through with this virtual learning environment because we're so used to the face-to-face environment. But then we realized that actually there will be a lot of advantages that we cannot practice if it's to be face to face. I give you an example. Previously, if we were to lend our students materials, we would prefer to use the hard copy, right? Now there will be so many platforms. We can share all these materials, Google Classroom. We can just upload them. Even if we do our recording, we can actually send them the link. They will be able to view and watch them again after the session ends. So, but the only thing that I found was quite difficult for us to adjust was the communicative part in terms of the role play. Yeah. So imagine having to be in a particular role, but you are actually uh, facing the screen. Yeah. So I would have to correct the mindset of the students, tell them that this is still a class that we actually want to, even though it's online, but we actually want to still be able to communicate just in real life situation. So after a while, I think everybody is getting used to that. But I think the this disadvantage would be that we don't get to see them until the end, and from the beginning until the end, we don't get to see our students, and so there will be pros and cons in terms of using with regards to virtual learning environment. But now we are adjusting to it. I think we are adjusting to it, and we found that we can reach people from far, like what Sister Baiduri just now mentioned, right? We can have people uh, who actually stay far from us, can will be able to come in and join and share their views. So it's very interesting indeed. If this were not to happen, then we will not have this opportunity
Yeah.
to explore. Yeah.
Okay, based on what you said just now, so what are the impact of the ESP program that you attended on your teaching? Again, Madam Nohayati, the impact of the ESP program to your students generally.
The impact. Can you please be more specific?
Of the ESP program. So since that we're talking about ESP program, so after you teach taught your students about all the things based from virtual learnings and what the impact from them after the teaching.
The impact, if you're talking about whether they are becoming better learners as compared to those who did not go through the experience of virtual learning, it actually depends on the instructor or the teacher. How prepared, how do we prepare ourselves to disseminate the information to them? How is the learning process? How does it happen? How do we prepare the materials? And we always have to be creative. How can my students learn this in this setup? How can they get it, even though we don't see eye to eye as in real life? Yeah. So the impact will be great because, like I told you just now, all this information will be accessible to them anytime. Before the MCO happened, I don't think the students have all this information easily. They didn't get access to Google Classroom. We don't use Google Classroom back then. isn't it? So now we have a lot of information. We can actually use social media. So it's up to the creativity of the instructor or the teacher to actually make this learning experience something for the students to actually use later in their life. So the impact could be good or vice versa. It depends on how the instructors actually prepare themselves for the classes.
Hmm. Okay, for Madam Baiduri, so again in UTEM, based from virtual learning environment, so what happened to the student? The impact for UTEM students, the engineering students from virtual learning environment.
Okay. When I actually came up with a few ideas, because I guess everyone was feeling a bit down when we were not able to meet students. I don't know about Sister Yati. I think you agree with
Yes,
me,
yes, yes.
right?
We all experience the same thing.
But then we had to bounce back, right? So
Yeah,
we had to really catch up with the reality,
yeah,
and
exactly.
of course when after we have tried with some ideas, some programs, we tried to get the feedback from our students. So alhamdulillah, I mean, like, it's not all good, but then when they mentioned that it's interesting to get people from industry to share their insights. And because before that, maybe some of the courses were just involving things inside the classroom, and unless if they join certain enrichment program organized by faculties or any other organizers. So when it's embedded inside the classroom, right, when the ESP instructor, in this case of course me, when we actually get the people in the industry to be part of the curriculum, I think students were quite excited, because they would get input, from others, instead of having me for 14 weeks giving input to them, while I am not, I don't live with the culture of the engineering workplace. So I don't really have the authority, right? Or I only help with the language part, the communication part. So they found it interesting. And with virtual learning, I actually experimented with a lot with what you call Jamboard. So teaching academic writing. So I knew that I had to get them writing something. So I used Jamboard. So it's a very interactive tool. It's under Google. So they said that it's interesting to use Jamboard because they can express, because they can also draw, right, using Jamboard. So it's quite interesting there. And when we teach virtually, I use a lot of social media actually. And I share like TikTok videos, things that can be very appealing to young students, young adults. So yeah, I agree with Sis Hayati just now. ESP instructor, we need to be very creative. We need to know the trends and sometimes that students are in, so we can actually approach, use that kind of approach with the content that we want to deliver to students. So somehow it has given positive impact to students, because they are actually really present in the virtual world, because that's where they spend their time mostly during the day and night.
Okay, so from time to time, is there any frequent changes to your curriculum, Madam Baiduri, since we are talking about virtual learning? Is there any changes from time to time
Okay,
to your curriculum?
in the case of UTEM, I think the same goes to the other public universities with with the use of CEFR, right? So we had to revise our syllabus to label everything according to the level that we are mapping for our courses. So yeah, we did it wasn't a revamp, but it was a totally new design of curriculum. We look at the courses that we have been teaching for many years. We look at everything and we restructured everything. And but before that, yeah, we continued to do a syllabus revamp for, if I can remember correctly, like once in 2 years time, where we actually have bengkel lah workshop, syllabus review workshop. And after CIFA was implemented, if I'm not mistaken, starting from 2015. So we had series of curriculum design for all our courses. And to tell you the truth, it has been a journey for all the ESP instructors in UTEM, because familiarizing ourselves with CIFA itself is quite a challenge. And then we had to integrate with ESP. It's another challenge. So trying to see, the needs of our students and aligning it with the CIFA levels, CIFA bands, like for our students, engineering students, we map them at B1 and B2 because we don't have any TESOL or English graduates. So maximum is B2. So somehow there's kind of confusion and clash, because we think that they have to write report, but then report doesn't happen to be within B2 level, so that kind of thing. But as we go along the way, we feel that as ESP instructor, we cannot be too rigid following the framework. We decide, based on the needs of our students. So the framework is there, of course, to guide us. But yeah, we feel that it's a good thing actually to review to your syllabus, because we need to make sure that we are always following up with the needs, with the ever-changing needs at the workplace for our students.
Okay, very good. Okay, and go back to Madam Nurhayati, since that you are mentioning about the impact depends on the teacher. So do you think that the teacher in your place need extra training? And also, do you think that the training itself will help you or teachers to improve further? So do you think that the teachers in your place require extra training to give a positive impact to the students?
Oh, okay. Yes. To answer that question, of course, definitely. So we have more training now compared to before, because we will always want to know how do we gauge ourselves in this special condition. See, there has never been a time that we actually have to do virtual learning, basically almost 100% from the beginning until the end, until until they're done with us. We don't get to see them, you see. So we have to always upgrade, look at our materials, and I think teachers actually will have to prepare more. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, like we don't really, we are so comfortable before this using the same material and be doing the almost about the same thing, but this pandemic happened, okay, so we actually have to look back at the material, see how is it going to be suitable in this kind of situation. And so the training is very, very important. So we have training during our semester breaks. We made some changes which is within our control, because in terms of the curriculum and all that, of course, is the people from Gombak would actually be doing that. But yes, we do need a lot of training. Not only that, also in terms of how we send the information to the students. Uh, I initially wasn't able to handle Google Classroom myself. So that itself is a training that I need, And then when we are comfortable with that, then we go to the social media platform and we see how we can actually encourage the students to actually use the social media platform to improve themselves. So because like what Sister Baiduri said, there's a lot of information out there, whether they are using it, whether they are noticing it, whether they are aware of it. So yes, of course, we all need
Hmm.
that training.
Okay, Madam Baiduri, I'm wondering in UTEM, okay, what are are they require any extra training, and what are the training to teach the teacher to improve their teaching? Any training that you want to share in UTEM?
Okay. When CIFA started to be implemented, we had this cascading workshop. There was a master trainer sent to our university to train us, but it was just like one series of workshop. But after that, I think we constantly invite speakers who are experts. The most recent one, it was actually on syllabus review. And I would say it's part of our training as well, because we were reminded by the speaker. It was actually Dr. Zailin from UTHM. I think she was the part of the auditor team, right, for Masters of Teaching ESP in KLM. I was also interviewed by her actually for the MKA audit process. So it was interesting because she highlighted about the importance of, understanding the nature of our students later when they come to the workforce. So we figure that sometimes we've been teaching, like many of the ESP instructors in UTEM, they're from TESOL background. So in terms of teaching the specific English, maybe that's not the right, the right qualification. I mean, you have to change it a bit to look at how to make the course specific for the students. So there's a lot of things we thought that, oh my God, we have to learn some vocab, because we're teaching engineering students. She actually highlighted this one word, the word is isolation. For us, isolation means certain things, right? But for the engineering field at the workforce, it actually has something to do with separating, I'm not sure, something related to the offshore thingy. So it was something new to us. So we figured that, oh my God, we have to really find good friends from the faculty, because we have to somehow understand words, all this jargon used by the people in the technical field. So definitely after that review, after that workshop, we feel that, oh, let's have more, sharing session with our faculty colleagues. So training session, yes, we definitely need that because, oh my God, who's calling here? Sorry. Because the demands will always keep on changing, I believe, in terms of the mode of teaching. As Sister Hayati mentioned just now, when we went virtual, so there's a lot of things to be absorbed. We had to increase our screen time, and tension definitely rose that time, but I guess now we have figured things that we are already good at and things that we would like to explore further. So that's the case for UTEM.
Okay, very nice. Something to share. Okay, so this is a question actually coming from me personally, since that I'm also a lecturer, and most of us have a different environment, different working cultures, and I'm wondering, Madam Hayati, in IMUM, how do you manage your time to develop your own materials? Like how you divide your time working and creating your own materials for the students in IUM?
Okay,
How do you manage time?
how do I manage my time is just like how I manage my life, which is according, okay, for example, if from 8 to 5, like right? And then if there is a certain time frame, for example, when my coordinator wants to revise, for example, so that particular week I would pay more attention lah. Not that I am 100% like thinking about it all the time, but as we go through, as a lecturer, as we go through the materials with the students, we ourselves sort out, like kind of like tell, oh, this is good, I will use this again, or this is not enough. So okay, where can I find more? You know, so it is a progressive thing that we do progressively, and and that is the best thing. So we always put down, like for me personally, I every time when I have a class, for example, I have this kind of information, you know, like the date and what I covered, and I kind of like write remarks. There's a remark column there. For example, like, oh, need more exercise on infinitive, like this is not enough, you know, present perfect, you know, in that particular context. So I look at the content and I feel that no, this is not, they do not get this in their real life situation. So then I will jot down the search for materials. So I'll just do it progressively as I do the teaching. And when the semester ends, I enjoy my life. Can I actually say this on? I enjoy my life, you know, because it's very
We need
taxing.
to. We need to, Sister Yeti.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes.
I enjoy my life just like other people. But when we are in it, teaching, when the semester is starting, then we start to look back, prepare. But what I can say is there's no specific time, I suppose. It's just that all the time zone is like that. During the semester, it's just moving towards improving the material, making sure that the students learn, um, and getting the most out of the materials that we have. You know, there's no point of you using a material that they don't get it, you know.
So there will be some changes from time to time based from the student result, is it?
Yes, the moment we have a material that we know, you know, we have hunches, right? Lecturers, we teach as teachers, we have, okay, we know that this is good for them. Then we maintain that material. We maintain that material, or else we just improvise. Sometimes if you realize some of the materials that we use would be obsolete, you know, then we take it out and we replace.
So Madam Nobaiduri, UTM is one of the government institution, right? Government, right?
Yes, public university.
Oh yeah, because I'm coming from private college, so that's why I'm wondering what happening, what exactly happening in government institution when they manage their time, because we do have other tasks to do.
Yes,
besides
under
teaching,
KPI.
KPI, marketing, and so on. And
Mhm.
in time, how the lecturers manage their time? How they spend their time? Is there any space or a day for them to complete the materials in UTM?
Okay, I think I would say we don't have, you know, like very structured time management kind of thing for, you know, material selection. But I guess everyone realizes that, oh my God, we have a lot to do, you know, when we are writing our research paper, and then we have to attend some other meetings. So what we strategize is sometimes we share materials. I think that's very useful. You know, when we teach in the team, right, when we teach the same courses, someone would be kind enough, hey, I have materials for week 3. So I'm sharing it here. She has put it everything in Canva. You know, you have the slide, you have the video, you have the exercises. Oh my God, thank you so much. We'll be so grateful because preparing materials, especially for ESP, I think it's very time consuming. And sometimes when you go online, right, when you find something and then you find some other things that are also interesting, sometimes you are lost in the sea of information. So that's very dangerous. You will have the tendency to spend sometimes hours when you get materials. So what I learned is I've got to be specific with what I need, and going back to the LO, learning objectives, because sometimes you meet interesting materials, right? But then when you check the LO, hey, this is not what I'm supposed to teach. So there's a bit of filtering needs to be done. But in terms of time, I think we need to have this team effort as well, because if you want to prepare like very good content for ESP alone, it's quite challenging. I think maybe it's possible, but it's quite challenging. You need very high passion for it, and time management. I guess it's the same with the others lah. No matter what courses you teach, kan, sometimes you have to find shortcut for things that you can manage. But some things, especially new things, you have to invest more time. Okay, and for material just now, of course we cannot use the same slides, for 4 to 5 years. I mean, it's going to be convenient, but we ourselves would feel boring here, the same text. So time by time, you want to look for new resources, because you yourself would be more motivated when you find good materials, right? And I agree with Sister Hayati just now that we can actually expand the use of our content. That is what I feel that I've ignored all this while, because sometimes the material that I have prepared nicely too, it can actually be extended to some other activities. So I don't have to start looking for other materials from scratch. So these are the things that we learn along the way, I would say. Because sometimes we are so ambitious. Okay, for this topic, we want to prepare this text, these activities, while we can actually use the previous content for a different skill. But it needs creativity, and we need time to reflect. Sometimes kita menonong je kan. So we miss out things that can be actually opportunities for us to cut certain things short lah.
Okay, this was very refreshing and refreshing knowledge and experience that we gained from our panelists. All right, so for the next session, we would like to open a question from the audiences, whether the audiences want to ask any question to the panelists. Okay, so we open questions to the audiences, whether you want to ask anything to the panelists regarding on our topic today. Any question from the audiences?
Hi, Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much, Madam Yati, by doing for sharing. Okay, so I actually have a question. I have two questions. Okay, let's go one by one first now. We talk about online communication. We move on from the physical, in the classroom to online. Okay, now the question here is actually because one thing that I think we learned from pandemic is that things can be done online, right? And then because of that, the question here is do you incorporate online meetings in your ESP classroom, ESP classes? I mean, what I mean is that do you teach them online meeting ethics or phrases related to online meeting? Of course, when we have physical meeting, we have certain ways of saying things, right? But then again, online it could be slightly tricky. How do you go around about online? For this student, you teach the ethics as well as the phrases. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know specifically. Can I answer that question?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know what specific ethics are you talking about, but in my class, all my students they have to open their video. They have to make sure before they come to my class, their mic, all their mics are working, so that I can hear them, because it's a communicative class. So I told them that my class is not similar to your other classes. So maybe your lectures, your other lectures, they would their video, they can close their video, but not in my class. So I would be able to see everyone. Okay, that's how I handle the students. I prepare their mindset from the beginning. They have to open their video, mics must be on. If they have problem with connection, I would always highlight that this is the second year that we are experiencing pandemic, and you're going to be graduating with contact hours, taking classes, and it's not possible for you to still be having this connection problem. So they would eventually, from the first class, second class, everybody will be having very strong connection and they'll be able to reply. Okay. And then in terms of facial expression, I told them, I said, if you were to be able to communicate, even though we are doing it virtual learning, you have to make sure that you don't give me that poker face. So they know, they know when they are giving that poker face, and who am I referring to actually? Because they themselves feel like, okay, so don't give me that poker face. So I actually make sure, so in terms of ethics and all that, I make sure that they are present, they are not playing with their phones, they are there exactly like the time when we were in the actual classroom. If they're in front of us, they will not be playing their handphone, they will not be doing something else, they will be there present with us. So I personally make sure that happens in my class. So so it's actually really like having a real class, it's just that it's online. Okay, because I noticed that my daughter, all her classes, she gets to close a video and she'll be doing something else. And so I said, how can you focus? You don't get don't not even 80 or 90%. Probably you only get 10 or 20% of what your lecturer is trying to teach. So these are the things that I emphasized in our first class. So I told them that. And then I have interval so that they can take a break, because if it's a 3 hours class, they will have a break. At that time, I allow them to close their video. I tell, it's okay, now you can close your video. But there are certain cases where if students need to have, if they have emergency, we have cases of students having COVID-19, experiencing COVID-19, fever and all that. So I say, it's okay, you just PM me, and at least I know what's going on with you, so you can close your video. So other than that, other ethics. So communication, yes, communication is still the same. When they are doing role play, I expect them to speak as if the person is right in front of them, so they know this. So that's what I have improved. And for the record, I myself in the first semester when this thing when the pandemic hit in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, I myself found it very hard to actually talk. At that time, I wasn't sure of all this SOP. So, of course, if the student closed their video, I didn't say anything. When they did not respond, I'm okay. I don't even know whether they are there. So, there's a big difference now as compared to during that time. Yeah.
Is there any penalty compound that you put to your students if they they don't want to open the cameras or?
Oh no, I don't believe in punishment. I believe in reward. I believe that inspiring students is much way better than punishing them, because they are young adults. They actually can think. The reason why they are not opening their camera and all that is because they do not know that they're actually learning, like in real life. So we just highlight that to them. You said you are graduating. This is 3 contact hours that you are having with me. With these 3 contact hours, you're going to be graduating one day. So so it's fair that you actually attend my class and that I can see you, that you are in my class. So the way you actually explain to them, dia macam main tarik-tarik tali lah, kadang-kadang garang and then let go
Yeah.
lepas. And then but eventually they listen to you. Inshallah, inshallah. When we have the love of teaching, they would actually know the reason of you telling them. It's for their own good. It's not because we actually want to see them so much lah. Actually, it's for their own good. Can how can you learn language without opening the video? It doesn't make sense. Huh? Okay.
So in UTEM,
I love what Sister Hayati mentioned when she mentioned that she prefers apa tadi reward rather than punishment too. True enough lah, they are young adults. Sometimes it's just that they are not aware. So you have to create the awareness. And yeah, to answer Dr. Khairil's question just now, I would like to share something that I did previously, responding to what I experienced in online meetings. So we actually came up with this course, English for Virtual Event Hosting, because this one was actually for staff, but I think it's still valid under the spectrum of ESP lah. Okay. So when everything went online, when pandemic started, we figured that all events and people were starting to collaborate overseas. Okay, in our case, UTEM, English as the medium of communication is not really that obvious as compared to IUM, because I also used to be an undergraduate student in UAE. So in UTEM, so it was something new for people to have collaborators overseas. So we figured that there's a need to train staff and to equip them with the English, the phrases that you use when you maybe you want to remind the participants to fill in the form for registration, So we provided the phrases, commonly used phrases. And so we even talk about the technical aspect of, attending online events, like putting the camera, where should you put the camera so that it looks nice? How do you actually, preparing your background so it's not dark, and a bit of lighting. I mean, you don't have to come up with a professional kind of lighting, right? But you need to put effort to that, because imagine students are not, it's already something bad that they're not able to meet you personally face to face. But then if you appear in your classroom in Teams or WebEx or Zoom with no lighting at all, gelap je kan, macam masa depan pun macam tak cerah macam tu kan. So it kinds of demotivate them, if you don't make the proper preparation. So if you're aware of all the things that can make your online session to more engaging, more interesting, I think that would be helpful for the students. So it's something that we can pick up during this pandemic, how to make the online session to fruitful, and it's not as bad as being isolated at our places. So ni nak top up lah of whatever is lacking, I would say. So this one, I think they like it because for this one I actually prepared an e-module for them, because the event was conducted, the course was conducted 100% online. So I prepared e-module using, what was it, Flipbook ke apa Can't remember what I used. That is also me as ESP instructor exploring new tools, online tools. So I could put link to videos, example of very good event hosting, and I showed some examples of how you put your camera when you go for online session, and feedback from the participant. They thought that it's something new that they have never attended so far. So I think it's something that is satisfying as the ESP instructor in the course, something that we learn along the way lah. So this is among the things that as ESP instructor, things that we do apart from doing all the routine thingy, teaching and delivering your syllabus. You are venturing into things that you have just discovered and share with the others. So that's in my case lah, Dr. Khairil.
Okay, so any question from other audiences? I see Saira Rias, right?
Yes, Assalamualaikum.
Um,
Yeah.
Salam.
Mm,
Yes, you may ask.
I fully agree with the sister Noor Beduri that during this time of COVID, especially, it was not only transformation for the students, but also transformation for the teachers.
Yes.
Because we, as language teachers, it was a giant leap for us to transform our methods of teaching, our materials, and our mode of learning and teaching right from the traditional one to the non-traditional one. And as I teach French language, so the French embassy also offered us so many trainings, and they had their own softwares, like flipped classroom and then hybrid, and then every day the new um, terminology and new concepts were coming up from the West. And it required adaptation and flexibility for all of us. And also the role of teacher, the role of murabbi, I would say, was more as a kind human being than as a person with so many degrees. Means to say, because students needed love and affection and compassion. They were in their houses, they were not allowed to go out. I mean, for the past 2 years of lockdown, it was challenging for all of us, and especially the age group, the teenagers, because they are in the process of growing up, both intellectually and physically. And some of them had clashes with their parents, so they were going through a lot of problems. So the class was a source of happiness for them. That learning a language is not just memorization or repetition, but it's the time that students enjoy, they explore a new culture, they learn new things by doing interesting activities. So the colors, the visuals, the sounds, and then encouragement, that was, in different ways of rewards, and then their creativity and their true potential was taken out, by all of us as teachers. So I think it was a great learning experience. Like, there is always hikmah in Allah's actions. So I think this 2 years of pandemic was full of learning, and full of different experiences, because every batch is different from the other batch. And there are students who are very quick and they learn very quickly. They want to do more things. So the content, we offer them more content. And then there are students who just, who do the normal things, and then they don't want to explore any further. So the adaptation was basically the main element during that period. But I think it was very enriching period. I take it very positively, that both for students, for teachers, and then time came that I told myself that I must enjoy my classes, and it should be a source of happiness. They should look towards learning French. And I was very happy when in my morning class at 8:30, out of 20 students, 19 used to be present. And I was like, all right, all of you are here, although the cameras were off or their mics were off, but they did, reply to my questions, and they participated in activities, and then they organized online events as well. So I think sometimes it's not only just the grade or the conventional system of assessments, but also, the creative ways of assessments that we all learned to, adopt during this period, to bring out the true creativity, innovation, and potential of students. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Sarah. All right. Now we have an open question to both of the panelists. Okay, anyone can answer these questions. So, how do you align the students' needs and the CLOs to CAFR requirements? Okay, want to start first?
Because we don't use CIFR. I was introduced to CIFR. I went to a workshop which was conducted by Sister Lily. She was here just now. But I think in terms of, I think when I heard from Sister Baiduri, you actually have more of the hands-on. So can you please go ahead, share your experience?
Sure. It's a real challenge for the career if you're asking me about aligning our learning outcomes with this with the CIFA, the framework, because yeah, as I mentioned just now, right, for technical students, the terms they use, because CIFA it also affects the vocabulary level. You know, there are certain words that belong to B1, B2. Even when you prepare text, if for reading comprehension, like if I prepare question, right, I cannot be finding a topic that's related to like going for a holiday, because it will not be relevant, it will not be authentic to my engineering students. But then when I teach, when I pick up a text related to engineering, it's going to be too high for them according to the CIFA level, because there's this we use this text inspector software. It's a paid software. We would run the text to the software, and we'll get the report. Which level does it belong to based on, you know, the percentage of the words used. Normally the report will let us know in terms of how many words are from B1, B2, C1. So when we look at text from the engineering background, normally we will get something more than B2. And what we do is we have to water down the level of difficulty, but for some terms you cannot replace because it's from the technical field. So that's the challenge. But I think I've mentioned before this, as we go along, you know, when the first time we designed the syllabus, when we have CIFA here and our LO here, like there were clashes. So at first we thought that, okay, we follow CIFA lah, very, you know, ambitious lah, because it's a new thing, right? But later when we experimented a few semesters, we figured that, cannot lah. We have to somehow be a bit flexible, because I think the framework is a general thing. As I learned, it's descriptive, it's not prescriptive, right? So you can actually tweak your way around the framework. You don't have to like follow rigidly, because at the end of the day, as the ESP instructor, you know your students and you are the one who know their needs. So use the framework as a reference, but your learning outcome would definitely tell you what you should do for your students, because that's their real needs. The framework can stay there. We can follow as much as we can. But I would say it's good because it's very clear, you know, in terms of the task. Let's say for speaking, the framework is very clear in terms of describing for B2 level, what kind of tasks would be relevant to them. What should they be able to achieve at B2 level? It's very clear. And in that sense, it's very helpful for instructors. But to match with ESP, you have to be open a bit, and sometimes lots of time you have to be creative lah in aligning these two things.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Baiduri. Okay, is there any last question come from the audiences?
Brother Khairi, I have some materials to share. I feel like
material share. Okay, okay.
since I have prepared, then I might as well share
yes.
it now. Okay, so this is just now the bulletin that I mentioned to you. It's from IEM, Jurutera, where I find sources for my materials, because we talk about content, right? So I don't have the content for engineering. So this is where I get the content. So whenever I prepare questions or I choose text or for some, task-based activities, I would refer to this resource. This is our module, which just now.
Madam,
Yes.
I can't see. I don't know whether it is my screen. I can't see anything from the slide.
It's just a black screen.
Black screen, yes.
Oh, okay. Let me try again. What about now?
Still, nothing appears.
Still not sharing, eh?
Yeah, black screen.
Okay, let me start all over again. It says here your screen sharing is paused, but I have resumed, but it doesn't work. Wonder what happened. Try again. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Still paused. The resume share button doesn't seem to work. Oh, this is so frustrating. Yeah, talk about frustration with online classes, right? You
Yes.
prepared everything, but then there's some technicalities that doesn't work. So you feel like, alah, sayangnya.
Yes.
Yes, you can see.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. So this is the bulletin that I mentioned just now. Most of them, the hard copies are in my office because now I'm at home. So itulah, I just share what's available online. And this is our
Please
module.
enlarge the image. Enlarge the image.
Okay. All right. So this is the bulletin lah. I find materials here. I look for sentences, text, and of course I have to refine a bit lah according to the level. That's the challenging part lah when you want to map with CIFR, because our practice is when we prepare question, right, for final or assignments, we have to submit the report for tax inspector to show that it's at B2 level. So that's the headache lah, the headache part. You have to change, maybe the structure shouldn't be too complicated. But again, I question myself. So if I am making the sentences easy, now it's no longer authentic. So that's the question. We want to be authentic, right? As authentic as we can. But then when we have CIFR as the background, so there's an issue there. So this is the module that we write for our courses, because we feel that we cannot find textbook that suits all the programs that we teach, all the faculties. We have a few kan. So inilah for engineering students. I think for oral presentation, this is cut across all academic fields. And maybe something different is informative speech, product description. That's what they deal with a lot. And process description in the technical field kan, they have to describe processes, maybe they have to mention like precaution at the lab, at the production line, things like that, instruction manual. Even for the grammar, the samples would be in technical context lah. That's what we prepare in the module. Okay.
Solving real world problem. What is the problem that Brad is trying to solve? Or what is the problem that iFlix is trying to solve? Yeah, so imagine, like I said, we encourage all of you guys
So this is actually me attending an engineering innovation competition. It's actually at UTEM. So I like to go to this kind of exhibition to see in real life what kind of writing are they dealing with. So I would snap pictures of the posters as samples to see, you know, the style of the poster in terms of the visual, how they actually play with visual and illustration in the technical field, because they don't use a lot of, you know, sentence structures, kan, like in education or language field. And also to see how the students present. So they are actually doing real tasks there, right? So I would record and then I would share with my students in my class that I teach. So they can see, oh, macam ni, this is how when you actually present in an innovation competition. And normally the student would use English in the innovation competition, but when I come to their booth, you have to explain to me in English. So, but actually they can do it, you know, but when things are not made compulsory, so they would always opt to speak in Malay lah for their presentation. Okay, and just now talking about virtual learning environment, right? When we are not able to deliver the content itself as ESP instructor, so what we can do is we invite experts. So this one we invited this guy, he's actually the CEO for this one, Youth Venture Asia. So he's good in teaching. So we invited him to deliver a workshop. So pitching is actually quite a thing in UTEM because many students are involved in pitching competition. They pitch engineering ideas. So yeah, when you are not able to deliver, you invite, because that's also enriching your syllabus lah. Students do not only learn from you, they learn from other sources, a variety of sources. Kahoot sample, yeah, just now I mentioned. Does it lead? Are you now viewing my Kahoot page? No.
No, still jurutera material selection.
No, it's still material selection. Okay, let's stop sharing. Is it?
Dia.
Okay.
So I teach adverbs and adjectives, but then of course I have to be a bit authentic there. So these are all real examples taken from past semester students' product description. So I make it into like grammar question lah for adverbs and adjectives. So just now we talk about how we consume time, right? To prepare all the materials. So these are all, they're actually quite easy, but then you have to like copy and paste and click here and there. You still have to spend time. But it's a good investment, I would say, because normally you will be teaching quite the same courses, right? For every semester. So only the first time you have to invest a bit of your time, but later on you can use and sometimes just change here and there to make it more interesting even for you as the instructor. I think that would be, oh, there's another one. Okay.
We won't use Kahoot before the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
It's unlikely that we will use it in the classroom.
Before that, I've started to use Kahoot for face-to-face class, but later on, I felt that it became more relevant.
More relevant, yes.
More relevant. And am I showing this poster?
Yes.
Yes.
Ways to cope with stress.
Okay,
wow. BTS.
Okay, this is actually, I taught public speaking for co-curricular courses. So when pandemic happened, I was like, oh my God, how do I teach public speaking? Like, you know, handling audience and all. but not having meeting my students face to face. So I made them explore a different genre, which is talk show. It's live and I get audience for the students. I collaborated with this one unit in UTEM. So where the unit has a big following. So we make it like a talk show series. Or they have different groups. So different group would choose their own topic. So they practice what they learn in the public speaking class online. They apply things in this talk show. So in a way, they also upgrade their digital literacy lah, because they exploit. This one we use StreamYard and it was live streamed to YouTube lah, using YouTube Live. Something that that I got them excited to explore, and because it was real time, it was live stream. The classmates and also the other viewers were commenting, were interacting with the speakers, the 4 speakers. So that is something that I've tried during the pandemic time, because or else I would feel bored too, right? Like just speaking with the students and with their problem with connection and all. So when I did this, I felt that okay, they have something to look forward to, and there's something that they can remember from the course. I think that would be
Who actually came up with this idea of BTS?
It was me. Yeah, it was me. Because
Brilliant. Brilliant.
like BTS, it vibes with them a lot, right? BTS, so Born to Speak. So let's call our talk show Born to Speak. So okay, madam, we go with BTS, Born to Speak. And so because they were stressed out, they say, oh, I cannot meet my friends and all. So the comment section on the YouTube live, the YouTube channel was so busy with comments from them. I mean, I think when these people, they're so quick, right, with typing on the keyboard. They have this language, the internet language, that sometimes you cannot comprehend. But it's something that cures the isolation feeling at that time.
Very important, to be creative.
Okay. Any question from the audiences before we wrap up our forum?
Yes. Assalamualaikum. Okay. Cik Hairul Anwar, allow me to ask questions to either Sis Nohayati or Nur Baiduri. Okay, I am Ramiza Darmi from English Language Department, actually from UPM, Faculty of Modern Languages and Communication, UPM. Okay, so I have been listening to both of you, Sister Nohayati and Nur Baiduri, about ESP. I also teach ESP. Okay, however, from your sharing, I noticed that you have your ESP is like EOP. You have specific audience, engineering for Sister Nur Baiduri, and then nursing is the example given by Sister Nohayati. Okay. Because I am also new in the ESP, okay, ESP. So which means that when I am assigned to teach the course, I also have to learn. I also have to read up on the textbook, especially my main reference would be Hutchison and Walters. All right. The Red Book, ESP, that's the name of the textbook. Okay, so can you advise me? All right, because my student are not from this specific discipline. They are the students of English language and linguistics. Right, so which means that and then also I cannot run away so much from the course outline because it has been prepared, right? So for the course outline, the weekly topics, all are related to the theory, the basic of ESP. For example, I have to teach the development of ESP, if you are familiar. If both Sister Nur Baiduri and Nohayati are familiar, it starts off with the development of ESP from the World War I, and then it goes to the target situation framework, learning needs framework. Okay, so if you understand that, very like theoretical, conceptual. Okay, so I wonder how do I integrate like the relevancy, the authenticity of ESP, like both Sister Nobaiduri and Nur Hayati shared. Okay, that's my question. Thank you, Brother Khairul Anwar.
Welcome. Right.
These are linguistic students, yeah, sister.
Yes, they are
Student
degree students.
degree.
Doing English language and linguistics. And then we have a course named ESP. The name of the course is ESP. So which means that I don't teach students from Faculty of Engineering or Faculty of Medicine. No, I don't.
Okay.
So I just would like to get ideas from both of you, since it seems that you have the experience.
But the learning outcome is towards the English proficiency, right? Like,
Is it content course?
Yeah, it's a content course.
Content course.
Yeah, it's a content course. Yeah.
so what would be the learning objective then for this course?
Well, I do remember. I have to open the course syllabus, but so maybe one of them knowing the development of ESP, you know. So that is one of them. The other two I don't quite remember, because it's not taught every semester. So yeah, so that is sometimes I always just have to brainstorm myself. Okay, do I have to
Yes,
teach
yes.
this very theoretical, conceptual thing about ESP? Because it seems like both the sharing from Sister Nohayati and Nobadu, they're very interesting, because yours is more like EOP. You have the specific group of students.
Assalamualaikum.
Yes, Waalaikumsalam.
May I respond? My name is Khairil. Actually, I teach the course, but the course we are doing now here is actually for the master level, which is material development for ESP. And the whole program is actually on ESP by itself, master in ESP. And I think we are doing more or less the same thing here, where we look into the theoretical and one of the things that I believe the reason why we have the forum is actually we learn from experience from Madam Hayati as well from because they've been teaching for so long. So I think to answer your question, of course, I think the nature of the course you are teaching, so what the course I teach is actually more of theoretical. But again, it's always best to get the student to understand in real life. If you are, our student will be the linguistic student. Yeah, correct.
Correct.
Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
Linguistic students. So one way or one of the options, like after graduation would be teaching, right? Teaching or go to university, like both of our panelists today. So I think it is important to make our student realize that yes, we have the theory, we have to understand the theory, but at the same time, we also need to understand the applicability, the application of the theory in real life. Okay, for the context of Baiduri as well as Madam Hayati, it's not so much of actually teaching the student the theory of ESP, the development of the ESP and whatnot to the engineering student or nursing student, but more of you to understand the nature of their work, the nature of the workplace, so that they'll be able to use English in their workplace. Yeah, I think this is actually a very interesting question. Me myself, I would have to say that I think it'll be very interesting forum that we can have actually to discuss about how we can apply the theory into practice. But then again, yes, to answer your question, I think we talk about the sharing today is actually to look into how we can apply the theory into our practice in the classroom. Does that answer your question? I'm not very sure.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, because because actually I would like to get input, but you are right, Mr. Khairi. When we teach content is different from practical. Yeah, ESP is like the general term, but under ESP we have EOP, we have EAP, right? Okay, all right. So may I know, Brother Khair, are you also from KLM?
Yes, I'm from KL. I teach the subject.
Postgraduate course, yeah? Okay, so inshallah I'll be in contact with you in future.
Inshallah, it's very interesting. I think maybe we can collaborate and to look into more of how to to work on ESP and perhaps, and I believe, again, like I mentioned to both of the Madam Hayati as well, Madam Mafaidini, is that at the end of the day, yes, we as lecturers, we have the theories and whatnot, but actually their experience is as much as valuable as our knowledge in theory. That's why I bring them in today, and then so that students can learn how to, of course, the focus here will be developing materials for ESP classroom, and the reason why we choose ESP because we want to have general ESP rather than talking very specific engineering, nursing, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Hairil.
Can I share something?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Rambiza's question actually reminded me of what I experienced with my postgrad class with Dr. Afiza, and Dr. Khairil also taught me for material selection. I remember like Dr. Afiza, she likes to encourage us to even participate in conferences related to our field of study. So I think when we learn all this, the developments in ESP, what key material selection and whatnot, and the other courses, right? When the instructor encourage or even make it compulsory for us to attend certain conferences or online programs. So that is actually part of materials or activities, I would say, or engagement under the topic of the courses that we would be able to benefit a lot. We had this webinar session like this one with one invited speaker for, I can't remember which, I think it's for applied linguistics. So we got people in the field who actually conducted needs analysis course. So we could actually see how people actually do it in real life. Whatever we learn in the class, from the journal articles, from textbooks shared by the instructor, like Dr. Pisa, for example, we managed to get like sharing of experiences for people who actually does ESP in a different aspects. Because the person who was invited was actually someone who's a consultant, I think. And she has been invited to conduct needs analysis for ministries in our government. So we could see, oh, this is how we actually translate needs analysis, target situation analysis in real life, in real job scope, real jobs. So that's something that I feel very enriching lah for me as a student in that class.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Nobaiduri.
Welcome.
Okay, so we have all the information for today forum. So anything else that you want to add, Madam Nohayati, or any from our panelists to today forum?
I would just like to thank Dr. Khairil for trusting me for whatever information that I shared today. Again, I would like to have a disclaimer. I am not an expert. I just share according to my experience. And it's been a joy to be with all of you today. And also I learned about from all of you, including Sister Nurbaiduri. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, Madam Baiduri, any last word?
Yeah, when Dr. Khairil texted me, right, about this forum, I was like, okay, let me get the terms right. So this is not as an expert. So it's experience sharing. Okay, that should be a safe place for me to talk. And then, of course, looking at the audience, right, when I asked about the target audience, okay lah, why not, right? Sharing, because I remember when I was in class, in my master's classes, some of them did not have working experience. So why not, right? Like learning and like learning based on the experience that you have would be different, right? So I guess why not? I can do my part here, sharing with my adik-adik, adik, or maybe some of you are at my age, but my juniors lah kan. So thanks a lot for this opportunity, and sama lah, same disclaimer lah from me. This is my experience based on what I do as an ESP practitioner lah.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Nubaiduri and Madam Nahayati. So as a conclusion, the process of material development will include assessment of students' needs and priorities, identification of language element and pedagogical approaches, selection of activities to be used, piloting and evaluating the draft version. In reality, hardly any teacher will start at the very beginning due to time, restraint and effort requirement. So thank you again, Madam Nahayati, Nubaiduri, and also our lecturers, Dr. Haril Azali, for organizing this forum. And that's all we have for today. Thank you very much, and maybe you can meet again. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you all.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you,
Can we
everyone.
take picture?
Oh yeah,
Brother
sure.
Khairil?
Okay.
Wait, okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Yes,
Thank
yes, Dr. Ramiza, it's a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Inshallah,
Assalamualaikum.
inshallah we keep in contact, ya. Dr.
Oh,
Khairil.
boleh, boleh.
Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Thank you. Dr. Khairil,
Yes, yes.
are we going to have class on tomorrow?
No. This is our class for this
Oh,
week.
thank you.
Alright.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, salam. Thank you.